main topic, and it's something that I wanted to bring up, is toxic masculinity. And so within toxic masculinity, it is basically, and just put it in layman's terms, that men uphold these certain stereotypes and stuff like that from this past of this being man, being macho, not expressing their feelings and stuff like that. And so I think that with toxic masculinity, I think one issue, well, let me say, I don't want to say one of the issues, let me break it down further. I think the good thing about bringing it up, because toxic masculinity does exist. I know that a lot of men have old school ways of how they treat women and how they treat people, and how their lack of expression, because they want to seem like a punk or a little B or anything like that. And so it does exist. And so I want to put that preface out before I really run my shit about what I'm about to say. It does exist. I'm not denying it. And men, we gotta learn how to treat our women and all that other stuff. We're not living back in the 50s and 40s anymore. And so we just be cognizant of that. But basically what I wanted to say, basically what I want to talk about is, I just think that in society today, we're trying to change the definition of what a man is, and we try to make a man more neutral. And I think that's a bad thing to do. And I think it's due to this wave of toxic masculinity. They try to make men more neutral and make it more have traits of what a woman would present. And I feel that, yes, as a counselor, I feel like a man should express himself. But I think it's certain things where it goes too far, to where I think a lot of men act real sensitive. And the reason why I think acting sensitive is very bad as a man is because you're going to present it in life to where you're going to meet people that's going to tear that sensitivity shit up on you, and it's going to leave you in some bad predicaments. And so I think manhood is a very important principle. And I think a lot of times, even with women, that women be like, well, I want a man that can talk and be sensitive. But at the same time, women don't want that. From my experience and what I hear, it seems like women don't want that sensitive type of man. They want a man that is a manly man. And so we're raising our kids and stuff like that, or raising it to be neutral. I think that we're taking manhood out of a lot of things, and I don't think that's a good thing. What are your thoughts?
No. Period. I think that I agree with what you're saying as far as a need to be assertive in many situations and be able to, handle negative interactions, right?
Right.
And so I think it becomes toxic when that's all you are all the time, or when you take it to some level that's not even assertiveness anymore. Like now it's aggression. Like that's not what we want. And then when we talk about assertiveness, I don't see that as a masculine or feminine trait. We all need to learn assertive communication and to be able to interact with people appropriately in many situations. So when I think of toxic masculinity, I think about this person I know who decided has a family, but decided, I'm about to quit my job. And I'm going to do that because they got me messed up, at this place. And he communicated that to his wife in just that way. And he feels, I'm the man of this house. Your job, lady, is to support me in this decision. And she's like, well, hold on now. We got bills to pay and things. So what's your plan to leave this job? Because I do want to support you, but I don't want to be paying all the bills for 6 months. Like, do you have something else lined up? Well, I never have a problem finding a job. This is what I'm talking about. You need to let me lead this household, and you need to be able to, play your role and support me. And she's very confused because she's like, last time I checked, making sure we all had, lights and water is very supportive. Now, I understand you have feelings, you have thoughts, you feel disrespected in this job. I don't think you should just leave. I don't think you should give your 2 weeks notice, maybe give 2 months notice, something. And they eventually came to an agreement, but initially he felt like very disrespected by that. He felt like his manhood was threatened because he had made a decision for the house and this woman wasn't supporting his decision. But it didn't quite make full sense the way he presented it. So in hearing that, when you think about a man's role in the household, do you feel like she should have reacted differently? Or do you think his initial, interaction was a little bit on the toxic side?
All right, I'll put it to you like this. I'm gonna flip it on you. If it was the woman said that I needed, some time off and I wanted to do this and do that, it would be more understanding for a woman to do that than a man to do that. And so when a man you know what, it kind of gets to a topic where you kind of brought it up right now. It is kind of like gender roles in the household. And I think a lot of times that when a man acts like a man within the household, it can be somewhat taken as somewhat toxic masculinity, because I hear a lot of women say, I want a man at the house. He needs to be a man. He needs to do this and do that and all this other stuff. But then when a man acts like a man, then it's kind of like, no, that's not what I really want. Because a lot of times women want to take control and be a man. And I feel like that the woman cannot be a man because you don't have the man anatomy to do so. And so if you want a man to be a man, let that man be a man. And if a man mess up, then hey, you there with him. And vice versa, let a woman be a woman. And if she mess up, you there with her. And so that's why I feel like, go ahead.
Well, I want to know, in that particular situation, do you feel like that woman should have responded differently? Or do you feel like if the roles were reversed, then the woman should be willing to do the same thing that she's asking of the man? Like, what do you think on that?
I'm gonna be 100 with you. We both working in this motherfucker. If you was gonna quit, nah, we're not doing that. Both of us gonna be bringing some money up in here. Don't be coming to me telling me that I'm gonna take some time off and then you're gonna take all the bills on me, especially if my end is not enough to do all that. And so therefore, if you saved up some money in your savings account or something like that, hey, super. Don't be coming to me with that BS because it will get shut down quick.
And is that a gender neutral response, or is that just for the woman?
All I'm saying is that it would be more understanding for a woman to approach a man like that than for a man to approach a woman like that. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying personally that don't approach me like that, period. I don't care, because if we rely on your income, you better keep on working unless you got something else. I'm not sitting here trying to support every damn thing. And so therefore you better bring in that little whatever check you bringing in every 2 weeks with the taxes taken out.
Okay. All right. So
I hope that answered your question.
It did. Basically, you're saying that it should be a gender neutral thing, but you feel in American society it's not. You feel like it's more appropriate, like if the woman came in and said, well, honey, I don't like the way I'm being treated at work. I'm gonna quit, that the expectation would be that the man is supposed to support her in that decision, whereas it's not really the same way. And that may be the case. I think that that woman needs to figure it out too. Like, I'm with you. Hey, lady, do you got a savings or do you have a transition plan?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's my main thing, because, ain't no money getting taken out of this household unless there's some more money coming in. So, yeah, forget all that. And then I know we talked about a little bit like the last week or something like that when we had a conversation. We kind of talked about this, even gender roles and raising our kids, and how I feel sometimes the women overstep their role as far as raising a man or raising a boy. And I know there's a lot of single mothers out there, and that's not the position y'all want to be in. I know if it was up to you all, you would have the man in your life and all this other stuff, and he's raising his kids. And I'm specifically talking about for the men that's in their children's lives and being significant and raising their kids. Sometimes you got to take a step back and let a man raise a man. And I think a lot of times women get it misconstrued because they put the emotions in it. But we grew up as boys back in the day, and so we kind of know what these boys are going to be confronted with. And so I think a lot of times with women, especially, y'all come from a more sensitive route or more baby and then more coddling route. And I feel like that's not going to work for these kids. What do you feel?
I feel that, basically that everybody in every household, there needs to be, a mixture of discipline and, love. And it's best if both come from both parents. So I don't think it's healthy when dad takes on the role of like the disciplinarian and the guy who brings the hammer down, and then mom is like the really emotional person who this child goes to for like the hugs and the positive reinforcement, because that causes splitting between them. So I feel like when we're talking about toxic masculinity in the household with raising children, toxic looks like only being the disciplinarian. Healthy looks like being able to love your kid through this issue and be like, but guess what? You're still messed up. So here's the discipline.
And then, yeah, I'm going to comment on that because I feel that in society today, they feel like men need to show love like a woman. And a man doesn't have to show love like a woman. A woman is the nurturer, the hugger. I'm going to kiss you on the cheek and stuff like that. I've seen this
but
one.
Why does that have to be a woman's job? Why is it not okay for a man to hug his son and say, this is what love looks like?
Okay, so what I'm basically saying, there's nothing wrong with a man hugging his son because it comes from your loins, and so there's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm basically saying is that sometimes the way a man shows love, people feel like that is toxic masculinity. I know, for instance, like if I did something good, my mom would give me a hug. My dad would be like, "Good shit, big dog." And I know what that is. I don't need a hug or a kiss from my dad on the forehead to know that he loves me. I know that with his certain actions, that is love. And so I can't expect my dad to be like my mom and hold my hand and hug me and let me lean on his shoulder, because that's another man. I saw this one video.
I think that's about your dad and his particular personality and like his love language and the way that he communicates. So he's still giving you an affirmation and positive reinforcement. He's saying,
exactly.
Whatever,
and so
whatever.
There's one video, you probably seen it on social media, where this one dude was sitting there cuddling with his son for about 10, 15 minutes. I posted it.
I haven't seen it, but
yeah. And I'm like, that's bullshit. Like, I could not fathom laying with my dad for 10, 15 minutes. That's not manly like. And I'm sorry. And that's why they say it's toxic masculinity. If that's toxic masculinity, then I am toxic, because I'm not laying up with my daddy for 10 minutes. Period. My dad wouldn't allow it.
To the people. I apologize to the people. He know not what he saith. Okay, like, what do you mean? Let me tell you
something. If I laid under my dad for 15 seconds, my dad be like, "You good, big dog?"
And then you say, "Yeah, Dad, I just really like."
And then he probably would have did one of the moves like, well, because that's not manly like. And it's comfortable. It's okay to say that within a man. It's certain things men do and don't do. And I'm not talking about like, if you are homosexual, whatever, that's your preference. I'm talking about this period as a man, how I would not feel comfortable with my son laying up on me for 10 minutes, even though he comes from my loins and that's my blood. I would not feel comfortable with my son cuddling with me for 10 minutes. And I hope he feels the same.
Well, I haven't seen the video. How old is the child?
He's like 15 years old.
Oh, and they were like lying on the couch like.
No, after this podcast, I'm gonna show you the video, and you're gonna be like, "God damn."
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen the video, so I can't comment. But I think like it's okay to spend time with your kids. You know what I'm saying?
And people came at me about this. I posted on social media, and people like, well, that's his son. There's nothing wrong with showing love towards your son and all this other stuff. Look, I'm not saying you shouldn't show love to your son and nothing like that. I've been saying as a man, is there certain ways that you will show love. As a woman, there's a certain ways that you show love to your kids and stuff like that. And so for me, and my comfortability level, and if I'm laying on the couch and my son come lay right beside me, I'm like, nah, brother. So you sit your big ass on that couch right there and let's talk about what's going on.
What if it was a woman and her 15-year-old son came and lied in whatever position this video indicates? Like, what if instead of the dad, it was the mom? Would that make you feel uncomfortable?
No, it would not.
Okay.
Because as a woman,
you feel like
because as a woman, women are like naturally women are nurturers, and so yes, I think that if in my head that if a woman was sitting there like holding a kid like that, it's kind of like this is a nurturing type of thing, you know. Y'all carry the kid, y'all hold the kid for a long time and stuff like that, and so I think between a mother and a child relationship, that's cool. But I think that as a father, as a person that's trying to show this person how to be a man. And you laying up, like, think about it like this. Let me break it down to you. So with y'all females, I know y'all females, y'all go to the bathroom together. Y'all might have slumber parties and sleep in the same bed together. Us men don't do that shit. Us men are not going like, hey, dude, you want to go to the bathroom with me? No, it's not like that. Men are not, oh, we're having a slumber party. We can sleep in the same bed and go into this. Men don't do stuff like that. Not men that I know. And so therefore, it's like with your women, y'all do stuff like that between each other. So it makes it kind of like, okay. But as a man, think about it. Think about it like this. So, you know, I'm part of a fraternity. What if you see me and my fraternity brother laying inside a bed together like that, this with one blanket and stuff like that? You're going to be looking like,
I'm gonna be like, well, this must have been something they learned when they were online. Don't you?
Oh, no.
I don't know what y'all be doing. It's so secretive.
No. You're gonna be looking like, what the hell? Because as a man, that's not the kind of traits of actions men display. Now I'm talking about straight men. Like I said, if you and doing other things, that hey, more power to you. I'm talking about for me personally. That's not something that men do. And so I see a lot of time with women or even a lot of guys, they be like, that's his kid. He should be able to hold his kid and do like that. Look, I will hug my son and tell him I love him, all that stuff. But I'd be damned if I sit there and cuddle with my son. That's where you have to draw the line and be like, no, absolutely not.
Okay, well, that's fine if you draw the line at cuddling, but let me say this. And this is a conversation that I have in my own household. Okay. So I truly believe in what I'm about to say. A child is going to be more responsive to your feedback, constructive criticism, your discipline, if they feel like you genuinely have shown interest and care and love for them in the other times, right? So don't just come to me and yell at me about my grades when they're bad, when last week I got an A and you kind of gave me a head nod and kept it moving. Bring that same energy. As hyped as you are about me getting this F, be that hype about me getting an A. And if you can show that type of consistency, then you're doing it right. But just being very one-sided, kids don't respond to that. They like, I don't care what you're talking about, because if I do the right thing, you ain't gonna care about that.
And I agree. And I think that you brought up a valid point. I think it is that, you know, you have to show love and you have to show tough love. And so you can't be the person that always show tough love, because if that's the case, then yes, that is toxic masculinity at its finest. And so I will agree with that. But as I said again, I'm not cuddling with my son for 10, 15. That's not going to happen. No.
Got it.
All right.